He played a man who solved every mystery on screen, but the hardest one he ever faced wasn't written in a script. Behind Detective Hudson's calm voice and sharp mind was a real-life struggle that tested every ounce of John Reardon's strength. While fans cheered for the hero they saw on TV, John was quietly fighting a battle that could have ended everything. Asterisk before the cameras. Before Hudson and Rex, John Reardon was just a young man from Halifax, Nova Scotia, chasing dreams that seemed far away. He wasn't born into fame. He built it step by step. Growing up, John was known for his calm nature and quiet determination. He studied, played sports, and always carried a curiosity about how stories shape people's lives. Acting wasn't his first plan, but it became his passion when he realized how powerful it was to make people feel something, to make them forget their worries. Even for a moment, after finishing university, John decided to take a bold step. He moved to London to study acting at the LAMDA, one of the most respected drama schools in the world. It wasn't easy. He was far from home, working small jobs and learning the tough realities of the entertainment industry. But he didn't give up. Every rejection became fuel for his fire. Slowly he started landing roles, first small ones, then more noticeable appearances in shows like The Chris Sock Show and Continuum. Each role added a new layer to his craft, preparing him for the role that would change his life forever, Detective Charlie Hudson. When Hudson and Rex premiered, John's charm, intelligence, and quiet confidence made him an instant favorite. Audiences saw a fearless detective who could outthink anyone. But off-screen, John was just as thoughtful, kind to his co-stars, gentle with fans, and humble despite his growing fame. His chemistry with Diesel, the dog who played Rex, became the heart of the show. Yet while John's professional life was glowing brighter than ever, a shadow had started to grow in the background, one that no one saw coming. Behind the smiles, the scripts, and the long filming days, John began facing symptoms that didn't feel right. What he didn't know yet was that his biggest challenge wasn't in front of a camera. It was inside his own body. Asterisk, at the peak of his career, John Reardon seemed unstoppable. Hudson and Rex had become more than just another TV show. It was a comfort series for millions. Every week, viewers watched Detective Charlie Hudson crack cases with calm precision, a hero with heart and humor. Behind the scenes, John carried that same warmth. He laughed with the crew, gave time to fans, and treated his canine co-star like a true partner. Everything looked perfect, but life often hides its hardest truths behind the brightest lights. During one of the filming breaks, John began to notice something was off. It wasn't dramatic, just a quiet exhaustion, a kind of tiredness that rest couldn't fix. At first, he brushed it aside. Long shooting hours, stress, travel, it was easy to blame it all on work. But as days turned into weeks, that feeling grew heavier. Small pains, subtle changes, things that whispered something wasn't right. Most people would have taken a break, but John wasn't most people. He pushed through every scene, determined not to let anyone down. The truth finally came in a doctor's office. It's a kind of moment that freezes time. Cancer. The word itself hits like a storm. For John, it wasn't fear that filled him first, but disbelief. How could someone so full of life, so active, suddenly face something this dark? But that's the cruel mystery of illness. It doesn't care who you are or how good you've been. It comes quietly, rewriting your story when you least expect it. Instead of stepping away, John made a brave choice. He decided to keep working while facing treatment privately. Few people on set even knew. Between takes, while others rested, he would sit quietly, conserving his strength. On camera, he was Detective Hudson Sharp, steady, strong. Off camera, he was a man learning to fight a battle that scripts never prepare you for. The courage it took to carry both lives, the actor and the patient, was something few could ever understand. Every episode he filmed became more than just work. It was proof that he wouldn't let the illness define him. Even as his body weakened, his spirit grew stronger. And in that silence, away from fame and applause, John Reardon began to show what true heroism really looked like. Not through perfect lines or flawless scenes, but through the quiet act of refusing to give up, asterisk, when storms come. It's not the thunder that stays with you, it's the hands that hold you through the rain. For John Reardon, those hands belonged to his family, his closest friends, and the quiet strength of those who refused to let him fall. The world only saw the detective calm, fearless, unshakable, but away from the cameras, John found himself surrounded by a different kind of team. People who loved him, not for the roles he played, but for the person he was, his wife. Megan Ory, who shared the screen with him once, now shared his hardest chapters. She became his anchor, steady, patient, and full of faith. There were days when words failed them both, when all they could do was sit together in silence. But even silence can be powerful when it's filled with love. Megan became more than a partner. She became the quiet force, reminding him that he wasn't fighting alone. The Hudson and Rex crew stood by him too. They noticed when he looked tired, but they never pushed or pried. Instead, they created a safe space, one where John could keep being himself. Between takes, there was laughter, light teasing, and simple moments that made the weight of his battle a little easier to carry. Sometimes, a shared smile was all it took to remind him that hope still lived inside him as treatment began. John faced the brutal truth of healing. It's not glamorous. It's not fast, and it tests everything you believe about yourself. There were mornings he could barely move, and nights when pain drowned out sleep. But through it all, he refused to surrender his spirit. He kept reading scripts, kept thinking about the next scene, the next story. The next day he'd walk back on set, stronger than before. Slowly, piece by piece, his strength began to return. Not just because of medicine, but because of love, the kind that doesn't fade when things get hard. His family's smiles, the laughter of his co-stars, the encouragement of fans who didn't even know the full story, all of it became fuel. John learned that recovery isn't just about curing the body. It's about healing the heart, about finding reasons to fight, even when the world feels heavy. And as the months passed, the light that once flickered inside him began to burn bright again. He wasn't just surviving anymore, he was living. Stronger and more grateful than ever. Asterisk, there comes a moment in every story when pain turns into power. When the scars that once hurt become reminders of how far you've come. For John Reardon, that moment arrived quietly, without spotlight or applause. It came in the stillness of early mornings, when he'd open his eyes and realize he'd made it through another night. It came in the laughter of his castmates, in the warmth of his family, and in the hum of cameras rolling again on Hudson and Rex. When John returned to work, there was something different about him. Not weaker, but deeper. His eyes carried more weight, his smile more meaning. The man who once acted as a detective now carried the quiet truth of someone who had looked fear in the eye and walked through it. Every scene, every line felt personal. His fans saw the same calm detective, but behind that performance was a man who knew what it truly meant to fight for life. John didn't make public speeches or post emotional messages. He didn't need to. His resilience spoke louder than any words could. Through his craft, he showed what strength really looks like. Not perfection, but persistence. Not never falling, but standing up every single time you do. His story became a quiet anthem for anyone who's ever faced darkness and dared to believe in light again as he healed. John began to embrace life differently. The small moments, a walk with his dog, a day on set, a meal with family, became victories. He no longer chased success. He cherished peace. Fans from around the world began to share how his journey inspired them to face their own struggles, people battling illness, grief, or fear. They saw in him something real, something human, hope today. When viewers watch Detective Hudson on screen, they see more than an actor playing a role. They see a man who lived through his own mystery and solved it with courage. John Reardon didn't just survive cancer, he transformed it into a story of strength, love, and renewal. His journey reminds us all that real heroes aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who rise quietly, courageously, again and again. As the screen fades to black, one truth lingers. Behind every strong character, there's a stronger human being. And behind Detective Hudson stands John Reardon, a man who proved that even life's darkest chapters can end in light. Some stories end when the credits roll, but John Reardon's story continues, not through fame or awards, but through the quiet inspiration he leaves behind. His journey wasn't just about surviving cancer, it was about redefining what strength truly means. When the cameras stopped and the makeup faded, John wasn't Detective Hudson anymore. He was a man who had learned how fragile and precious every heartbeat really is. Today, John uses his platform differently. He chooses peace over publicity, real moments over red carpets. He doesn't speak about his illness to seek sympathy, but to remind others that it's okay to be vulnerable, to ask for help, and to keep believing even when life feels unfair. His courage has become a quiet echo in the hearts of fans who fight their own invisible battles, reminding them that bravery isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the soft decision to try again tomorrow. Every scene he now performs carries a trace of that experience, a depth that can't be faked, a truth that comes only from pain turned into purpose. Fans still write to him, thanking him for showing them that it's possible to live with light after darkness. And though he rarely talks about his illness publicly, his very presence, calm, grounded, and kind, says everything. For many, Hudson and Rex is just a TV show. But for those who know his story, it's something more. Every time Detective Hudson steps onto the screen, it's a reminder of John's resilience, proof that healing doesn't erase scars. It transforms them into strength. His life stands as a message that survival isn't about returning to who you were. It's about becoming someone stronger, wiser, and more alive than before. And so, the man behind Detective Hudson continues his journey, not chasing fame, but cherishing life. John Reardon's story isn't just about an actor who beat cancer. It's about a man who proved that no matter how dark the night gets, there's always a sunrise waiting, if you have the courage to keep moving toward it. Some stories fade when the spotlight dims, but John Reardon's journey echoes far beyond the screen. His fight with cancer isn't just a personal victory, it's a quiet lesson written between every heartbeat. We often think of heroes as people who chase danger or wear badges. But John reminds us that real courage lives in the everyday choices we make when no one's watching. It's in the decision to smile when you're tired, to hope when you're scared, and to keep moving when the road feels endless. John's story teaches us that strength isn't the absence of fear, it's the will to walk through it. When he faced his diagnosis, he didn't know what tomorrow would bring, yet he chose to face each day with grace. He chose life, even when life wasn't easy. And in doing so, he became more than just an actor. He became a mirror for all of us. A reminder that no matter how strong or successful we appear, we're all human, fragile, and capable of rising again. His journey also shines a light on something we often forget, that healing isn't a straight path. Some days you move forward, others you simply hold on. But progress is still progress, no matter how slow. And John's patience through that process shows that bravery is sometimes quiet, like the steady beat of a heart refusing to give up. What makes his story powerful isn't the fame, the role, or the recognition, it's his humanity. It's how he turned pain into purpose and used it to inspire others. His life whispers a message that stays long after the video ends. You don't have to be fearless to be strong. You just have to keep showing up. So when we watch Detective Hudson solve another case or flash that calm smile, we're not just watching fiction, we're witnessing the spirit of a man who faced the hardest mystery of all, survival. And in solving it, John Reardon showed us something rare. That even after the fight ends, courage doesn't fade, it multiplies.